Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation to the event on India-Japan SME Connect Day. 皆様、本日は日印中小企業コネクトにご参加いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。To begin today's event, may I invite Mr. Onkar S. Kanwar, Chairman JIBCC and Chairman Apollo Taylor Limited to make welcome remarks. 開会にあたりまして、印日経済委員会会長、オンカル S. カンバル様より歓迎ご挨拶をいただきます。
Dr. Sandhya Buller, Joint Secretary, DP, IIT, Government of India, His Excellency, Mr. C.B. George, Ambassador of India to Japan, Mr. Rohit Relan, Co-Chairman, IJBCC, FICCI, and the Chairman and Managing Director, Bharat Steel Limited, Mr. Kazuya Nakazawa, Executive Vice President, Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, Mr. Yukihide Nakayama, Senior Director of Global Strategy, Southwest Asia Planning Department, JETRO. We have Mr. Ajay Sethi, Managing Partner, ASA Corporation, Catalyst India Private Limited. We have Mr. Akash Omar, Director and Company, Founder, Paramount, Friends from India and Japan. Konnichiwa and Namaste. It's a matter of great satisfaction that India-Japan SME Connect is the first event of our delegation at IJBCC engagement. This clearly shows priority that JETRO and FICCI accords to this sector. During the last meeting in February 23 in India, we identified SME to be the growth engine. Since in the past, the large industrial sector dominated from Japanese side, now the time has come for SMEs to come out of the shadow to the center stage. SMEs are the backbone of Indian industry. 45% of manufacturing output, large employment, and is focus sector from government reforms and incentives. Government of India accords high priority to this important sector as this event has been organized under the auspicious of Indian Embassy under the leadership of the Ambassador C.B. George and Dr. Sandhya Buller, Joint Secretary of DPIIT under Ministry of Industry, which is the nodal agency of the Government of India for promotion of industry and internal trade. The presence of the senior officials from the Government of India in the room adds vigor to this business meet. The time is ripe to unlock potential to take advantage of India's growth story. Being the fastest growing large economy, rising middle class with high purchasing power, youthful land and skilled manpower with business friendly government making India a preferred destination for trade and industry. The statistics show the 1,436 Japanese companies in India with only 700 in the manufacturing sector. A very small percentage of SMEs in this figures. We need to make a paradigm shift. To make a transformation shift to SMEs, it cannot be business as usual. If we do the same things over and over again and get the same result, we need to change our ways for the better result than before. While the government of India has worked towards ease of doing business, which will come to later, we in the industry need to dig deeper with our Japanese counterparts to recognize and understand the challenges faced by them business like water finds its own level. So once we have addressed the pain points, I am sure impediments and perception will change and business will flow seamlessly. Likewise, the Indian side may also bring forth the challenges faced in Japan so that better results follow. I would request Fiki and Jetro to provide a platform for free and frank discussion among stakeholders. It may be a good idea to form working groups for identifying sectors and also B2B portal for exchanges with interested SMEs who may not have the necessary infrastructure for outreach. I would like to commend the effort of dynamic ambassador Mr. CB George, who has added fresh energy in the India-Japan relation by traveling to different prefectures of Japan and arranging for private sector engagement between India and Japan. We are encouraged by the presence of Dr. Sandhya Buller, Joint Secretary, DPIIT, in this meeting to understand the nuances of India and Japan with emphasis on SMEs with a view to foster trade and investment. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, Viksit Bharat, Develop India 2047 vision is to transform India to develop a country status, unfolded many government initiatives to create conducive environment. Some reforms to attract SMEs launched by the Government of India replace red tape with red carpet to attract investment in SMEs. Holistic reforms instead of piecemeal ones. Goods and services tax, simplified and uniform reforms. Make in India, Digital India, National Single Window System, PM Gati Shakti for logistics, PLI, production linked incentive schemes, 14 sectors to enhance India's manufacturing. More than 100 MSME have been benefited. Startup India, third largest in startup ecosystem. Japan investor SoftBank is taking a lot of initiative in this Startup India. FDI investment friendly policies, most sector open for 100% automatic route. Last year, Japanese FDI US dollar was only 2.09 billion, which is very, very low. And I think looking at our relationship, we need to see the kind of environments which has been created. They should look at more opportunity to invest more in our country. There is also Samadhan portal to redress grievances, delayed payment to SMEs, including streamlining payments from Government of India, ministries and departments. Thanks to Mr. Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas for insight knowledge report of the last IJBC meeting in February 23rd focus on why India as investment destination for Japanese SMEs and corporates, which we can share again. I'm sure the deliberation today and tomorrow will address some of the issues. We can take the cooperation between SMEs to the next level. While our prospective government have delivered its time, the private sector, especially SMEs in our respective countries, needs to deliver. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your welcome remarks. Next, May I invite His Excellency Mr. Shibi George, Ambassador of India to Japan, to make inaugural address. 続きまして、駐日インド大使、シビ・ジョージ閣下よりご挨拶をいただきたいと思います。
Good afternoon, everybody. Sri Onkar S. Kanwar, Chairman IJBCC and Chairman Apollo Tyres Limited. Dr. Sandhya Budlar, Joint Secretary DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Mr. Kazuya Nakacho, Executive Vice President of JETRO. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good afternoon. I welcome each one of you, our friends from India and Japan, today here in this auditorium for the function. I acknowledge the presence of senior officials from Government of Japan, senior officials from JETRO, and other important stakeholders in India-Japan relationship. Today's conference, India-Japan SME Connect, is an important event. Most of you present here are familiar with the transformation in India-Japan relationship in recent years. Special, strategic, and global partnership. This year, we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of this partnership, entered into by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and late Prime Minister Abe in 2014. This special partnership continued to flourish under the leadership of former Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Suga, and under the current Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Kishida. As an old Japan hand who worked closely on India-Japan relationship in the past, I can tell you this. In my over 25 years in engagement with Japan, I have seen India-Japan relationship evolve from what significantly was a G2G relationship with ODA at the heart of it into a very much a B2B relationship. The ODA part is still very important. G2G is indispensable, but the landscape of our engagement has become so very much broader, signifying the maturing of the relationship with economic and strategic partnership very much at the heart of this relationship. This is evident from the dialogue architecture we have put together in place over the years: bilateral, trilateral, quadrilateral, plurilateral, and multilateral. The many MOUs and agreements that we have signed, and the joint statements and vision documents that we have issued over the years. Today, our relationship covers a wide range of areas: trade and investment, industrial development, infrastructure, rail, metros, digital, energy, human resources, critical and emerging technology, climate change, semiconductors, health security, space and defense and security. This has been made possible by the sustained focus and guidance provided by the leadership at the highest level in both the countries. Japan is a reliable partner in India's economic transformation. Today, India-Japan relationship is a unique partnership involving many stakeholders: business establishments, industry and commercial chambers, investment boards, factories, universities, science and technology establishments, academicians, scholars, students, innovation and research organizations, think tanks, and growing vibrant people-to-people contacts. Dear friends, 2023 has been a special year in India-Japan relationship, filled with multiple high-level engagements. Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Kishida visited India in March 2023 and again in September 2023. Prime Minister Mr. Modi visited Japan in May 2023. Our participation as the presidents of G20 and G7, there has been tremendous exchanges during the last 1 year. There have been hundreds of delegations, including multiple business delegations from India to Japan and Japan to India. Former Prime Minister Mr. Suga led a 100-member delegation in July 23 last year, and also Fiki was involved in organizing the event, I understand. All these engagements were crucial in reaffirming the special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan. Last week, we had the visit of Honorable External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar for the strategic dialogue, which has set a roadmap for 2024 to realize the full potential in our bilateral relationship. Last year, there has also been several delegations from Japan who visited India to attend the G20 meetings. Over 200 of such meetings held all across India. They all returned with one message: India has transformed. India has changed. What they saw is a new India. Its infrastructure has changed. Its vision has changed. Its business environment has changed. Its digital transformation is significant. Today, it is world's fastest growing economy. Some of our friends, including some of my Japanese friends, used to say India needs to become more business friendly. Dear friends, let me tell you this loud and clear: India has changed. India, it is a new India. The world is coming to India, investing in India. I have a special message as the former ambassador of India to Switzerland. Yesterday, we signed a SEPA with EFTA, European Free Trade Agreement. I remember the discussions were going on for more than 15 years, but yesterday we were able to conclude this SEPA, and also which would bring in, I am told that 100 billion US dollars of investment from the EFTA countries to India in the coming few years. So India has changed. The world is looking at India. It is time for our Japanese companies also to go in large numbers to India and engage with their business partners. Dear friends, I am happy to share that in the last 1 year, I have been able to travel over 40 prefectures of Japan and interact with the political leadership, business chambers, universities, media houses, and a large number of people from all sections of society. And many of my meetings, Vice President of JETRO, Mr. Nukajo, was present, and we had the great pleasure of addressing business seminars all across Japan. With JETRO, we organized several business seminars focusing on SME sectors. What I have witnessed during these interactions is a real momentum, an overwhelming enthusiasm, a spirit of partnership towards building a relationship with India. Wherever I went, I came across a large number of stakeholders, companies, big and medium and small, eager to look at India. There is more coverage of India in Japanese media, both national and local. Indeed, there is a significant momentum. What we could be able to do is to convert this momentum into concrete outcome and business partnership. Today in Japan, one could see an overwhelming appreciation for India's economic growth story. India's emergence as the fifth largest economy, overtaking the United Kingdom last year, received a lot of attention here. Its growth rate of and its march to become the fourth largest economy is watched with keen interest. Similarly, India's emergence as the largest populated country, overtaking China, has been noted. The fact that over 60% of its population is less than 30 years of age, and the contributions this talent pool can make for India's growth and Japan's growth is well appreciated. India's steady progress it makes in infrastructure, digital transformation, skill development, all have been welcomed and appreciated. I was so happy to see scientists and businessmen talk about India's scientific achievements like the Chandrayaan mission, its digital transformation, and so on. As we prepared for a eventful 2024, let me make a few quick observations. There are 1,500 Japanese companies in India today. These are 1,500 success stories. These success stories need to reach every corner of Japan. These success stories should inspire 15,000 Japanese companies to move to India. Our embassy has set an ambitious target to reach out to 15,000 companies in various prefectures of Japan to tell them the Japanese success story in India. We have launched the SME Facilitation Center at the embassy, which one of my first secretary colleagues chair. And I'm very happy that JETRO is a partner in that endeavor. I'm told that a survey by JBIC has found India as the most favored destination in the medium term and long term engagement for Japanese companies. We should be able to take this message to every corner of Japan. We need to generate awareness about Japan industrial townships in India. Here again, we are engaged in an ambitious action plan working with JETRO to reach out to every prefecture in Japan in 2024, including to reach out to small and medium scale companies. Dear friends, we have an impressive framework with several MOUs and platforms in place. But it is time to avail the facilities offered under this framework to reduce the trade barriers and promote greater market access. Our bilateral trade is stuck at US dollars 22 billion. Too less for two countries with which are the third and fifth largest economies in the world to achieve. We are making progress in our target of 5 trillion in investment that our relationship has agreed upon. India's young talent pool, its skilled workers are an asset to Japan's economic growth. We need to generate awareness in India for the demand in Japan and be able to connect the dots. We also need to have student exchanges. I would like to have not 1,500 students, but 15,000 Indian students in Japan to start with. We have launched India Japan Edu Connect and India Japan Skill Connect platforms. Let me conclude by reiterating that with stable macroeconomic fundamentals and visionary global outlook, India is focused on creating a sustainable, digitally driven, innovation centric economy. It is a land of billion opportunities today. Japan should not miss this opportunity. Let 2024 be an year of quantum leap in our, at all levels, connecting Himalayas with Mount Fuji 2.0. Thank you, and once again, thank you, and good evening to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inaugural remarks. Next, I would like to request Mr. Kazuya Nakajo, Executive Vice President, JETRO, to make address. 続きまして、JETRO理事、中条和也様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
Mr. S. Onkar Kanwar, Chairman IGBCC, Honorable Sibi George, Ambassador of India to Japan, Dr. Sandwa Bura, Joint Secretary, DPIIT, Government of India, Mr. Rohit Lelang, Vice Chair IGBCC, and my friend Ajay Sethi, and all these distinguished members of FIKI delegation to Japan. 皆様、こんにちは。ジェトの中条でございます。Let me speak in Japanese from here. ジェトロ理事の中条でございます。本日は、インディア・ジャパン SME コネクトセミナー開催にあたりましてですね、一言ご挨拶をさせていただきます。
Connect, I would like to give some remarks. From Kanwar Chairman, delivered a very organized speech, and we had powerful and comprehensive speech from Ambassador. So I have nothing to share now. I'm a little bit wondering what I can address to you. So as we all know, we have a strong moment, 9% in 2021 and 7% growth, very strong growth. And still, middle class will grow furthermore. So GDP per capita has not yet reached to the developed country level, but there is a disparity of the income. So as for the 5,000 $5,000 above, the income was 2030 will exceed 70%, which was only half of the population in 2020. So the world, whole the world envy and looking at toward India. So that's, I think that gives a good reason why Japan is motivated to enter into Japan. Let me cite two reasons. So we conduct research around the business. So when we look at the operating margin, so the Japanese business is 75.6% of Japanese businesses expect to see the growth in their profitability. In the past, we consider India is a low profitability country, but this trend changes. That is a first thing. There was 56.7% Japanese businesses are growing their profitability in Japan. Before it was less 50%. So in the last 1 to 2 years, they are doing more investment and expanding their industry segments. So 4/3 of the Japanese businesses are expanding their industrial segment. So we see this trend at the peak of the history. So today's seminars are for SMEs. So we have very high sentiment, but still, I think you cannot jump up to create factories. First of all, you need to prepare sales network and the supply chain. And also, you need to organize yourself. You need to put people, money, and human resources investment. I think there are so many businesses that are looking at this possibility. So, ambassador travel all over Japan and speak with businesses in order to. So there is a very ambitious goal to make 15,000 companies, turning from 150. I think in the near future we can achieve this goal. But there is a very competitive landscape in Japan, in India. So there are several important points. We need to take quick action. One day you delay, you will see a lot of competitions. And also, in order to have a secure organization, you need to find a business partner. In these circumstances, we have Vicky presence here. They have a very powerful organization all over India. They have presence and they have human resources that can support you and the businesses also. So in today's seminar, I think you can hear from them and Jetro, Vicky, and the Embassy of India. You can trust them. We can trust us so that you can ask us when you seek for advices. So you need to put the journey on, and the information we have here, and he key member in the India embassy of India, and there are service providers and partners to support you. So today, I think you will hear many different presentation so that you can take a concrete action. Thank you very much for your attention.
Next, I would like to request Dr. Sanjay Bulla, Joint Secretary, DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India to make address. 続きまして、インド商工省産業国内取引推進局次官補サンディア・ブルラル様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
A very warm good afternoon to everybody. His Excellency Mr. Sibi George, Ambassador of India to Japan, Mr. Onkar Singh Kanwar, Chairman IJBCC and Chairman Apollo Tyres Limited, Mr. Kazuya Nakajo, Executive Vice President, JETRO, Mr. Rohit Relan, Co-Chair from FICCI and Chairman Bharat Seats Limited, esteemed participants from JETRO, government officials, and businesses from both India and Japan. So, as already pointed out by the speakers before me, SMEs have played a very key role in the manufacturing sector in India. 45% of total manufacturing output of India is through SMEs, and there's vast potential of SMEs from Japan to invest in the ecosystem that has been created by all the big banners coming to big industry which is coming in India, be it semiconductor sector or renewable sector or electronic sector. And many of the people present here must have come also as part of the ecosystem surrounding these big industries. So many people have experience, and many people must have, as it was aptly pointed out by Ambassador Sir, that this India has changed. So there's a growth potential, and we have demonstrated that growth potential. We've become the fifth largest economy, and soon we'll be in next 2 years will be becoming the fourth largest economy. Coupled with two other things that is happening, we have a young workforce, and this youth will continue. The youthful population will continue till 2000. Plus, we have a very stable political environment, which is very important for the businesses and policies to run. And there's a progressive and completely every time. So there's a very dynamic response to the issues that the industry raises. Since I am the Joint Secretary from Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, by my own experience, I can say with Japan that we have a fast track mechanism which was established, and lots of issues that are being taken under this fast track mechanism, where we try to coordinate with different departments of the departments of government of India and also states, and try to sort out the issues through that fast track mechanism. Plus, we have Japan. I am very happy to share that Japan has maximum industrial townships, Japanese cities we keep, and I'm very happy to share that wherever you go, I belong to cadre called Gujarat, and you're next to Ahmedabad. There's a Japanese industrial township. So you create a small community out there, your own restaurants, your own culture, which is a very good thing. So Japanese and Indian culture, we share a lot of things, and it is more like Japanese. So it's a long friendship that we have, and we need to continue it further. It benefits both sides. So the supply chain resilience that we all have seen, that we need to create, alternatives of supply chain. So India is a preferred destination for creating that alternative with the Japan, Australia, India partnership that we had. So it is so, but we need to strengthen these things. There's lots of patience also involved in these things, but this is in the interest of businesses from both the sides. So I would just like to mention, I mentioned about the India Japan Industrial Competitive Partnership, which is a very apt agreement that we have. Under this, we have lots of working groups, and one of the working groups deals with SMEs, which is led by Ministry of Heavy Industry. And under that working group, as part of there is a portal called Samadhan Portal. So Samadhan Portal by MS was set up by Ministry of Heavy Ministry by the ministry concerned to for faster grievance redressal. So under that, there's a sub part. So how India has changed. So where industry can say, I have not gotten this payment, and action is immediately taken on this thing, led to public procurement or any other issues. So we are a very fastly growing country where lots of digital public infrastructure has come up. And this digital public infrastructure, India doesn't want to keep it only for us. We want to share it with the world. And there's lots of learning that even the most developed countries like France and all have bought our UPI platforms and all. Plus the story that we have with lots of knowledge sharing, and it has been happening. I'm very happy to mention here the way when Maruti Suzuki formed a partnership. So I was dealing in skill development in my cadre, which is Gujarat. So I'm very happy when Japanese companies come. So they pay lots of importance to the HR. So even if you are there or the company leaves, but it leaves its footprints there in the form of a very trained workforce that is there, and which is very useful to the ecosystem that is created. So my request to both the sides is to enhance this partnership. May this partnership go on, and we both benefit. India benefits by means of the investment that Japan can do in India, and Japan benefits by means of the business that it can generate. But not only for India as a market, but Japan should produce for the world in India, and way we enhance the supply chain resilience for the world, how we can do it. And I'll just, because I deal with ease of doing business. So over the years, many things have happened. One is that FDI, almost 90% of the FDI in country is now liberalized, and it is through automatic route. You don't need government permissions to come to India now. Uh, Production linked incentives, almost many sectors, seen very good outcome, particularly for APIs in pharmaceutical sector or medical devices, or the electronic sector, telecom sector, white goods sector, food processing. And there are around 100 MSMEs which have invested and got benefit of these PLI schemes in India. We have, I already mentioned about the digital public infrastructure. So we have a PM, Prime Minister's Gati Shakti National Master Plan. So we have this mapping which is digitally done. Now, when a company comes to us, we just go show the companies the online thing. Okay, this is the land maps which are available. These are our industrial cities, and this is the infrastructure that is there in the industrial cities. So you can, so now everything is at the click of a button in India, and this has led to more transparency, more easier things. So national single, another hallmark that India has developed is national single window system. So company, suppose you want to set up any company, you need to go to NSWS. And on NSWS, first of all, what you want to do, you will need know your approvals. What all approvals, whether at the state level, which approvals, at the national level, which approvals you need to have with various ministries. And the second part is, so we are in the process of complete development. The second part is how to set up a new industry. So you can get all those 255 plus approvals through that portal. And the third part, what we are developing is the renewals and the compliances that can be done through this portal. So it's a very huge thing that India has embarked upon. Then we have national infrastructure pipeline. By national infrastructure pipeline from 2019 to 2025, it was first of its exercise by which to build world-class infrastructure. We started monetizing our infrastructure and to attract investment. So now, so that like these are the sectors how Matsui and Mizuho Bank, they are in a big way in India, and they are utilizing these platforms. JBIC is there. Our labor reforms are simplified. We used to have 25, they are simplified at the state level. Uh, uh, you all know that India is a federal nation, so different states are at different pathways. But we converted 29 central labor laws into 4 labor codes, which provided flexibility in hiring. Corporate tax is reduced. It reduced to 22% from 30% for existing companies and 15% from 25% for new manufacturing companies. ONDC, another open. So India pays lots of stress to digital public infrastructure, open networks. So ONDC is a network aggregator. So if you go to Amazon or Google, you need to pay a certain amount to Amazon or Google to sell your products. But ONDC platform is a platform which is supported by the government, so which is very open, so you don't need to pay to get onboarded through that. So currently in last 1 or 2 years, so 2.3 lakh sellers sell through this ONDC platform, and it is an open commercial platform, and it's a seller network participants which are aggregated onto this platform. So looking into all this, all the reasons that I gave, so if you don't invest in India now, you will sort of miss the bus. So it doesn't mean India as a market alone. You will be producing for the world, and so it has a huge the way our economy is growing, and the way our policies are, the way there is stability in the political, the way the government is open for doing these things, and the whole environment for business is a very positive environment currently now. And post to COVID, we have learned a lot. We have changed our systems. Make in India, be it Make in India campaign, or be it Vocal for Local campaign. So I request Japanese companies, Japanese government to finish the target, that 5 trillion target, which both the honorable prime ministers had decided. 1 year has gone, and I see. So when we review the investment, it has sort of slowed down. So that momentum has to go on. So I request both the sides, and I wish my best wishes for the forum, and may the joint statement get many good outputs between the two sides, and may our friendship continue for the years to come. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for your remarks. Next, may I request Mr. Yukihide Nakayama, Senior Director for Global Strategy, Southwest Asia Planning Department, JETRO, to make a presentation on Japanese companies' investment situation in India. 続きまして、JETRO 企画部海外地域戦略主管南西アジア担当中山幸秀様より、インドでの日本企業の投資状況についてご講演いただきます。
Yeah. Dear Mr. Onkar Isek Kanwar, Chairman IJBCC and Aportaya Limited, His Excellency Mr. Shibi George, Ambassador of India to Japan, Dr. Sandhya Bula, Joint Secretary DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Mr. Rohit Toleran, Co-Chair IJBCC and Chairman Pratseed Limited, and distinguished speaker and distinguished guest, and a good friend from India as a Fitch delegation. Welcome to Japan. Yeah, from here I speak in Japanese. Let me speak in Japanese. はい、皆様、本日は
And I'd like to spend briefly 10 minutes talking about the current situation of Japanese companies in India, and I'd like to cover a little bit about the current India economy. And also in the latter half, I'd like to talk about how Japanese companies are doing businesses in India. It's a short presentation. Next page, please. This is India, and this is the overview of India. And as you can see from the picture, it is almost as same as the size of EU, and there are different ethnic groups and different languages. So it's known for diversity. And Nakajo also introduces, and this shows the result of the diversity. And if you look at the daily, it is $5,000 per GDP, and Bihar is is less than $1,000. So there is a big gap depending on the provinces, and there is a rural area, Bhutto Brandish, and also the other industrial regions. And depending on the provisions, the industry are different as well. So this shows how diverse India is. This was already introduced to you, and this is a population. Last year, as was covered by news, India became number one populated country, exceeding China, and also comparing China. There are younger people in India and teens and 20s in India. This shows by 2050, the increase of population increases. That's why people pay a lot of attention as market. And this is also covered by news. And the reason why people are paying more attention to India is in 2028, this is a very near future, and India will be the third biggest GDP power, exceeding Japan. This shows the economic situation of India, the trend of GDP. In 2020, since because of the COVID, the semiconductor parts were not exported, therefore GDP dropped. But up to recent years, compared to other countries shown in red, India's GDP growth is maintaining the growth. That's why people are paying a lot of attention globally. Compared to other countries, the GDP growth ratio is high. As mentioned before, why do companies go to India? This is one of the reasons that there is expansion of the middle income group, the middle and high income shown in purple and also red. And blue and purple added to total 5,000 to $35,000 income, and that was 53% in 2015, but it will be 73% in 2030, and the increase of 20% because of the increased income. The durables such as cars and bikes and air conditioners will be purchased. So in India, what Japanese companies make will also be sold well. This shows what is a policy of India government. Making India is what Modi Prime Minister said, and in India, products are produced and exported globally. That's what India government has publicized, and the trade deficit in India to make in India and export from India to reduce the trade deficit is a hope that India government would like to realize. But because of the COVID, the semiconductors were not imported and parts were not imported. Therefore, Indian government came up with stronger initiative to invite foreign affiliated companies, and the Make in India didn't have a lot of subsidies, but recently the product linked incentive or subsidy is added to invite foreign affiliated companies. This is becoming successful, and these are 14 areas where the India government is subsidizing to invite foreign companies. If you look at these areas, for Japanese companies, there are a lot of things that links. In some of the areas, Japanese companies also see some opportunities because Japanese companies are strong in these areas. And for the semiconductors, 1 trillion and for 1.5 trillion yen, which is very high incentive. And for semiconductor in particular, the Indian government is placing a lot of focus on. Next, about the achievement of carbon neutral by 2070 to achieve carbon neutral. In line with that, the number of EV is slowly increasing, especially the uh, auto as well as the there are a lot of business chances in India as well. And there are some overlaps with what I have discussed for the two tires with 3 tires, as the graph shows the bicycle and 3 tires in South India for installment of the EV for the 2 tires and 3 tires. It is used for the sending out or delivery for Amazon, for instance. And there is a outlook for the change of the India, such as the manufacturing of iPhone in 2020 because of the zero COVID. In China, the COVID started. Therefore, in China, 70% of the production was in India, but that is transferred to Mexico and India. And because of the transfer from China to India, in Southeast India, there are 3 OEM major transferring plants from Foxconn, Begatron, and they are manufacturing iPhones and exporting from India. And Foxconn and Begatron, and there was another company that was acquired by Tata, and based on this situation, what is the situation of Japanese company is something that I'd like to explain next. We see the number of Japanese companies in India. Before the COVID, the number of Japanese companies were increasing steadily, but after the pandemic, it became flat, or it is a plateau. But we have a lot of inquiries from Japanese companies, so it's likely to increase. This is uh, diffusion of the Japanese companies. And Japanese companies used to focus on parts to enter into the Indian market in the past, but the number of Japanese companies concentrated onto the north, such as Delhi and Haryana, 500 concentrate on these two provinces because of the Maruti Suzuki suppliers are concentrated on these two provinces. And second, the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu provinces, which is about 400 Japanese companies in automobile and Nissan, Toyota, Honda, and the suppliers concentrated, and there are about 400 companies, 1,000 part of India. Next is Maharashtra in the west, 33 companies, and they are a little different. They are services, industry, and financial, and also the food supply imports town, and the financial services and other services are doing good businesses. As mentioned, in India, what is the percentage of Japanese companies? Manufacturing is accounting for half, especially automobile and the motorcycles, as well as the 3 tire cars and the PLY and the white goods, and there is a subsidy. So in the manufacturing, the percentage of electronics and electric products are also increasing, as well as services. This is automobile, the share of the sales. Maruti Suzuki accounts for more than 40% of the share. And Japanese companies in India, Maruti Suzuki, how big the presence is shown in this graph. Nakajo also introduced this earlier. In 2023, JETRO survey shows the Japanese companies and how the Japanese companies see different countries that they're doing businesses. And the left shows that 2023, the operating profit outlook, and out of the main countries, India showed the highest, being 57% improvement in the operating profit. And the right hand side, India is also number one. In short time, how the companies are going to expand businesses or not. And India is number one in the outlook of the expansion of the businesses, and 75% of the Japanese companies see that India is likely to grow. And after post-pandemic investment by Japanese companies is shown, automobile is continued to be large part of the businesses and the PLR and other subsidies I mentioned, and therefore the fields are becoming diverse. And for the EV in the bottom, and also the PLI, air conditioning, Daikin, also built the second factory in the Yokohama Tire and also Yokohama Rubber, as well as Hitachi ATM. After the pandemic, we see a lot of investment in manufacturing. And Daikin Air Conditioning and Mitsubishi Electric Air Conditioning are seen in South India. And if you look at the exports, since South India is close to the ports, this could be the important location for export. We see the rise of the middle income. And to make the life more convenient in India, if the middle income family increases, what makes life more convenient, such as air conditioning and cars, needs will increase and also can be exported. Other than that, what sort of activities do Japanese companies do a little before pandemic and also up to the recent days? The investment to startups to partner up with startups are also becoming a trend, as shown in the table. The external startups are utilized, for instance, to offer online health check services or the EV battery sharing services together with startups to do business in India. So Japanese companies are starting to partner up with startups. Lastly, this is the human resource. So in India, the people look for talented human resources. Japanese municipal governments are interested in utilizing India human resources. And the way we think about the human resources, not just bringing people from India, but what the companies in the table say is that rather than bringing Indian people from India, to have the development center in India, so Japanese companies are promoting R&D in India with the people in India, and this trend will accelerate. This is a trend of Japanese companies. So this concludes my part. Thank you very much.
Konnichiwa, Namaskar. I am deeply honored to be speaking in the presence of Mr. Kanwar, Dr. Bhullar, Mr. Rohit Velan. I am missing the presence of His Excellency, but being a good Indian, later at debriefing, I will trouble him and speak again. Nakajo-san, my friend, it's such a pleasure to see you always. I have a very difficult job. I'm an Indian and I have been asked to speak for 5 minutes. You can only understand that how difficult it becomes for me, but I'll try my best. Let me tell you a story. The only way to decide whether a country is good to invest or not to invest is to follow the money trail. Does India help you to increase your money? Let's start from there. So what I'm going to do is, next slide, please. This is a Brookings study which talks about where is the money going? Where is the middle class money moving? This is clearly moving towards Asia. China, of course, is ahead on the spending curve. The middle class spending, next slide, please. I'm going to jump a lot of slides. You will see that 57% of the world spending middle class is going to be in Asia. And India is going to be number 2 out there. So clearly you got a story out there about the Indian consumer. Next slide, please. This slide shows you that Indian consumer, whether it is telecommunication side or whether it is on the retail side or the automotive side, the Indian consumer is buying. This is an important fact. This is what Japanese SMEs want to know. First and foremost, can you make profit in India? Already, I think Nakajo-san mentioned that there is profitability increasing for Japanese companies in India. And that has also been confirmed by JBIC, giving India the number 1 spot. Next slide, please. Quick look at the GDP growth rates across. Of course, you will see that India's number is increasing. I have been a consultant for approximately 32 years, and 30 years approximately I have been dealing with Japan. I promise you, I have never seen India as hot as it is now, and I speak the truth. India is firing from all cylinders. It's never been seen. We saw it in 95, we saw it in 2005, nothing what we are seeing today. Anything which comes in the market is getting picked up. So it's a very good time to look at India, very good time for consultants like me for sure. Next slide, please. Just to make you also understand that is this a short-term story? Is this a 5-year story? At the cost of not saying the right words, I will still tell you one thing very important. To understand India, all you have to do is study the statistics of China 15 years back. That's exactly what was happening. But we will accelerate much faster than China. This is a 15-year story at least, this growth story. And it is based on private consumption. See, the only one I want you to see is the top one. China was consuming, per personal consumption is sitting at 38 odd percent. India is sitting at 60% consumption. That is what is driving my GDP. It's a very different story. Next, please. Some boring statistical slides you already know of, but this is where Japan investment sits. Actually, you can ignore Mauritius, Singapore, and Netherlands. These are routing mechanisms. You will realize Japan is a very important investment partner for India. We have others coming in now. France is very aggressive, but right now, US, UK, and Japan, these are the biggest players we have on investments into India. Next slide, please. This gives you a trading equation. Next slide, please. This already has been covered by my learned friend just before me, so I won't dwell into it. But what I want to mention is that in India, the sectors which are very important is automotives, and we are seeing a huge movement up in the telecommunication sides, chemical sides, and of course financial services. Next slide, please. This has been covered, so I'll jump this slide. Next slide, please. This is a very interesting slide because if we are talking about Japanese SMEs coming to India, there are two things you may want to know. One is, are the Indian SMEs doing well, first of all? Second, would they need us as partners if we decide to tie up with them? These are the two questions one should ask before. This slide will tell you Indian SMEs are doing very well right now. Look at the numbers. Look at the point number 3. We are 75 million SMEs to go up to 95 million SMEs. Indian SMEs are on fire. Every IPO which is hitting the market is absolutely oversubscribed. There is ambition in India, which I've never seen the likes of it for a long, long time. It's a fantastic time to be in India. You keep on going down and you will see the government is also encouraging a lot of, I won't go into the schemes because Dr. Buller had just covered up some of these aspects, but Indian government is supporting. The good thing is the government doesn't interfere. We have had governments, not Indian, but world over, which interfere. The Indian government is encouraging but not interfering. I think this is a big difference. Any country which has to grow should see less interference from the regulators. Next slide, please. These are the sectors. I wish I could say these are the only sectors, but logistics, food processing, chemicals, retail, I mean, I can name on and on, but there are some of the names I've given which are firing up very well in India. There's a lot of companies which are looking for joint ventures in India. And as a consultant helping foreign companies come to India, one of the strangest requests I always get is, we want to have technology and our number one choice is Japan. That is something I'm telling you as a consultant. We have do business with France, we do with US. Maximum requests from Indian SMEs, we want to do a partnership with Japan. Japan is important to India. And I'm not saying it because I'm in this room and when I go to London, I'll say something else. I'm telling you, this is the truth. Next slide, please. I'm trying to be good on my word about 5 minutes, but this is the slide I want to spend a little time with you because this is the crux of it. I can give you a lot of statistics why I've made this slide, but I'll just tell you the crux of the whole thing. 5 reasons why Japanese SMEs should invest in India. There's a 0 reason Japanese consumption market is low. India is the fastest growing consumption market. Statistics are there. If you like statistics, I can give you all the statistics. Japan has an aging population and also the child rate is quite low. Some of the products which are targeted towards these audiences, India is a very good market. That's number 1. Number 2, Indian SMEs cannot grow in isolation. We want to be faster than everybody else. We want to be faster than China. You have the technology, we have the market, we trust each other. This is a good time to look for partnerships in India. You don't have to. You can always do an automatic 100% subsidiary in most of the cases, but you could get faster access to Indian market by finding the right partner. And I'm getting a lot of requests from US, France, Korea, Taiwan. India is on the move right now. Third reason, this Dr. Buller also mentioned, so I'm not again going to go into too much detail, but the important fact about India and doing business in India, we have a very sound regulatory system. Many times people tell me, oh, tax cases taking 5 years, something's happening 10 years. Yes, India can be slow, but I promise you one thing, India is democratic and the system is transparent. Cases won by NTT, Vodafone in India as an indication that the Indian government does not control the judicial methodologies. So it's a very transparent system, unlike what you see elsewhere. Fourth point, remember, India will, in 10 to 15 years, mature as a market. And the next big market is Africa coming up, already on the move. India's relationship with Africa are fantastic. Japan is presently a little far away from Africa. China has a head start over all of us. This is a good time to make a base in India and then progress on to Africa together. You win, India wins. I think this is something which gets neglected, but we should see the bigger picture always. Last but not the least, India's supply chain, which is very, very critical for the entire Asia. It's a very important base for Asia, ASEAN, and also moving towards Middle East and Europe. There is many supply chain routes which have been cleared by the government and are being implemented. And of course, there's famous Matarbari port, which is Bangladesh, India, and Japan is doing under JICA. India itself has a lot of internal supply chains with JICA help. This includes the daily freight corridor at one end, and then there are internal portways. So the reason I'm putting these 5 points, these are simple 5 points. In case you go deeper, you will realize what is the merit. Next slide, please. One thing no consultant can ever resist is a little bit of marketing. This is what we do. Our biggest market is Japan. Like I said, 30 years back, I started working with Japan. We are pretty deeply embedded with Japan. You name a company and we are dealing with that company. I have been coming here 30 years. My colleague sitting there, he's been coming in for a long time. I'll show you some of the names. Next slide, please. Just to give you an idea of some of the names, we deal with approximately 300 companies, which is about 1/4 of all the Japanese companies or 20% of Japanese companies in India. This is just a sample of the names we deal with, and you will see we have experience. We know how to set up, we work with your tax treaties, we know the way around it. Next slide, please. This is my last slide. This is basically a book. One of the things we understood as we dealt more and more with Japan, that we consultants talk in a language which people, businessmen don't understand. So we came out with this book. It's in Nihongo as well. This book is very simple. It doesn't talk about section, case laws, and very complicated issues. This puts across doing business in India in simple language. Outside, you can pick up, there is a copy from which you can take a scan or download your book, and you can use it whether Nihongo or English as you like it. And that would help you to understand India better. Otherwise, there are people like me who love to make money while you do business with India. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Next, I would like to request Mr. Akash Omar, Director and Co-founder, Formonaut, to make a presentation on startup sectors. 続きまして、フォルモナウトディレクター兼共同創業者、アーカーシュ・オマール様より、インドのスタートアップセクターについてご講演いただきます。
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here, and I can see so many senior people here, and I'm getting the opportunity to learn so much from them that what lies ahead, they are kind of mentors to me. So as we are discussing about that Indian sector, startup sector is way big as of now. Like if, as Ajay sir also mentioned that 20 years back or 25 years back, if we would have been discussing about it, maybe it was premature. But now the sector has matured and it is now ready to accept the technologies that are present in the current market, either in India or abroad also. So next slide, please. As you can see, that Indian landscape, if we talk about, is changing, and the main Silicon Valley of India, that is Bangalore, that we recognize that we are also based out of Bangalore. More than 400 startups and nearly 50 unicorns have been running and operating from Bangalore. The sector itself requires like so many different verticals. Like as you can see that we are targeting technology, e-commerce, healthcare, and fintech startups. And in case of our company, if I have to say what best have came to Farmonaut after COVID was the UPI and free internet, like the cheapest internet rates that we have. Next slide, please. So the sectors that are contributing to all the other sectors that are moving ahead are market like they require they have a lot of potential. The government incentives are there, that we are also getting the benefits from governments related to startups, like you are going to be subsidized, and from DPIIT, ma'am is there, and they give rebates to the startups, like in the initial years. If you want, then you can get the rebates on the taxes that you're paying. And since we have a very young workforce there, and the ideas that we are originating on daily basis is something that is helping us solving the problems specific to agriculture sector, if I have to talk about, because so many areas where we see a technology is going to work, but it might not be that much cost effective for the end customer. That if I have to say that the farmers, if I am talking about, then in Indian context, if I say the technologies that are existing or used to exist 4 years or 5 years back was way above the pay grade of the farmers. So we thought about a process that in which we can make it cost effective. And I'll slowly come to the point like what we are currently doing in the market. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there are so many other policies that the government of India is providing. Make in India and Stand Up India. These are the two mottos which we deeply follow from our from our depth of the heart. That make in India, make for India, but not restrict to India. That this is the main thing that we are highlighting. Next slide, please. The future of Indian startups. I think the sir and other faculty members also highlighted this part, that there are so many IPOs are taking place, and in future we also want to participate in that part. But my main point is uh, the rapid growth of Indian economy, and this expansion is only possible because of the new entrepreneurs that are coming into the market. There are so many women-led startups in the Indian context, and they are like randomly selecting something and bringing the best out of it. So I'm just saying it because I know so many women entrepreneurs in India. They are my colleagues and friends, and the ideas they share with us is like we have never thought about in that particular area, like the sanitization. That it looks very common, but no one is looking in that particular depth. Next slide, please. So now coming to the agriculture part, that what globally we are facing right now, that due to no mechanism to backtrack what all issues are happening on the ground, we are globally losing more than $20 billion of uh, crop uh, crop uh, crop every year. 1.6%, that is globally we are losing, and due to changes in the weather we are losing uh, uh, 20 to 40% of the crop losses are generally due to these factors. Next slide, please. Now here comes the Farmonaut. I am the director and the co-founder of Farmonaut Technologies. We provide satellite analytics directly to the farmers as well as to the businesses and governments across the globe. As you can see, that we started in 2019. As I mentioned, that the best happened to the company was the COVID. After COVID was the UPI that happened in India, and the cheapest internet rates, because we wanted to track the farmers, and it is not easy to do the B2C thing when you do not have the access, or the farmers are not accepting such a technology. So when we started, you can see that the number of farmers within a year we were able to connect was just 2,500. And as you see, like we are now completing 5 years now, and we are now benefiting 200,000 farmers globally. And it is direct and indirect methods. Like we are partnering with so many big clients in the market, and this is how it is helping them. And the whole sector is driven by satellite analytics. Next slide, please. What all services we are providing? As I mentioned, that we provide crop health, irrigation related to the plantation, to the soil, and how fastly the water is getting evaporated. All these factors require attention and immediate attention. And we also provide soil organic carbon and its footprinting, because nowadays the carbon trading is a must thing that needs to be implemented, because we are degrading our environment day by day. We also provide crop area and yield estimation. All these things are done based using on satellite data, there is no physical or manual intervention required. We also provide WhatsApp-based satellite advisory. The main point of bringing this on board was to uh, let the farmers connect, like the farmers who are not tech savvy. Like if I say, like if I talk about the Indian context, the farmers are that much tech savvy. I cannot ask them that you have to involve, like download an application and register yourself, then submit the form and get the benefits. So the simplest thing is use WhatsApp. A dedicated number is there. Give us the basic details through a chatbot, and your form is submitted. And within 5 to 10 minutes, you will start receiving the advisories. So this is how easy we have made for Indian farmers, and it is not for Indian farmers. Any farmer across globe can utilize this particular technology. Next slide, please. Now the question comes: why use this kind of technology? That there's so many other solutions present, or even if I do not want to use the satellite, I will get the manual surveys done. With the help of satellite data, we are able to reduce the manual survey by more than 95%. We are providing the data with an accuracy of in between 90 to 95%. For carbon footprinting, if I say the data is coming with an accuracy of 95 to 96%. And as far as if I have to see it in the market, the general standards are 80 to 85%. So as a company, what we feel that whenever we bring any solution in the market, it should be completely validated and accepted by the end clients. So these are all the numbers that I'm portraying here are not the claims of the company, but these are the confirmations we have received from our prestigious clients. Like even at government levels, they have confirmed these numbers. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned that the current stats of the company, uh, we also provide API solutions. We do licensing, and currently we are serving more than 30 plus companies across globe and across 14 different countries. And these are the few partners that we have mentioned. These are the big partners: Godrej Agrovet, Coromandel, and from Egypt, that is the Agriculture Ministry of Egypt we are talking about. And their plan is to digitize their whole farmers by utilizing or implementing this particular data. Next slide. That's my last slide, and I hope I have not bored anyone, because agriculture is a sector that is important, but no one pays a lot of attention. And Indian government is paying huge attention to this sector, either in terms of investment policies or subsidies related to the farmers. They are doing a tremendous job, and I would like to share this information because I want this communication with the Japanese enterprises, that because I know that agriculture is a place where we both can have synergies. So I'm done, and if you have anything to say, share, please do share. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Next, I would like to request Mr. Rudra Pandey, Chair FICCI Task Force on Investment, to make a presentation on opportunities for Japanese companies, SMEs in India. 続きまして、インド商工会諸連合会投資タスクフォース委員長、ルトラ・パンデー様より、インドにおける日本企業、中小企業のビジネスチャンスについてご講演いただきます。
皆様、こんにちは。
So, respected Omkar Singh Kanwar, Dr. Dr. Buller, Mr. Rohit Relan, and my friends from Japan and India. I think as a last speaker, the tough job is that all the parts of the discussion have already been covered. But being a Bengoshi, will find a way. And I will talk about my presentation in three parts. One, why India? Why India was not sort of catch up with the demand, and why now it is possible. And third is the opportunity. And all I know I'll be mindful of the time because we are already behind the schedule. So
Can I move to the slide, please? Yeah, so as per several research, India will be the third largest economy. I think we have, all of us have talked about. And next slide, please. I'll talk about the GDP. I mean, I think we have talked about that we are growing, but let me tell you, the last 2 quarters, India has grown at more than 8%. The last quarter was 8.4%. The quarter before the last was 8.1%, and the quarter before the two quarter it was 7.8%. So this is a remarkable growth for India in that sense. In terms of ease of doing business in India, while the World Bank has not released any report after 2020, we were ranked at 63rd in 2020, and I'm sure with the initiative of DPIT, Madam Buller, and as such the government of India, we must have been below 40. I'm sure about it. India is the seventh largest FDI recipient as per World Investment Report issued by UNTAD. Next slide, please. I think again this slide have been covered, so I don't want to cover that again. Going to the next. I want to just highlight this point. I think everybody has talked about my panels speakers that Japan is the fifth largest. But let me tell you, there's one story that I think all of us misses. That investment from Japan is not happening only from Japan. It is also happening through Singapore, which, if you look at, Singapore is the highest. So if I need to, I mean, and I know I was trying to work out with Invest India is how we can segregate the data, which can reflect the actual Japan engagement to India, then we can have a better figure. But let me tell you, several investments from Japan is also happening through Singapore. And so maybe in my consideration, if I take out Mauritius and Netherlands, Japan will be the second largest investor for India. However, UAE, if you look at on the right side, UAE is catching up and investing a lot in India and is already the fourth largest investor for India. Next slide, please. Let me talk about why India was missing out and why it is possible. There was a research paper we did with FICCI, which was released by our Foreign Minister, Sri Jaishankar ji. We basically came out with the 4 or 5 points where India was not able to catch up. One was the trade agreement, free trade agreement with several countries. Again, so because India opted out of RCEP, so we are not a party to the RCEP. Second, we have very high logistics cost. Okay. The third, the compliance cost is also high, and the number of compliances is enormous in India. The fourth is the skilled manpower. Okay, I'll stop there and then I'll tell you why it is possible now. While India is not a party to RCEP, at the same time, if you look at the news report and the actual facts, India has already signed FTA or called CEPA with Australia, with UAE. Yesterday, we also announced that we have also signed one FTA with European Free Trade Association, which is covering Switzerland and few countries. We are in advanced discussion with the rest of the EU region, where we're covering most of the European Union, and it is likely that by sometime this Diwali of this year, which is September, October this year, we're going to also conclude the FTA with EU. At the same time, we are also negotiating the FTA with UK and also with US. So what is happening then? What is going to be benefiting then? The Make in India objective of government of India is going to be successful, because then, the SME who are in Japan, who are largely in China, as compared to the percentage, we are in the entire 1,400 companies from Japan to India, only 20% comprises of SME. So those SME who are not there can come to India, and now they can freely export out of India to the rest of the world, which is also happening with other ASEAN region. So that is the plus number one. Plus number two, on the logistics, the government of India has come out with a new logistics policy and also Gati Shakti. Idea is to integrate the entire logistics chain and reduce the cost. the impact is already being shown, and hopefully this will reduce to a minimum level at a global standard level. Third, on the skilling part, the government of India specifically launched has several skilling of the manpower in India. At the same time, the initiatives have been taken with JETRO and the Japanese companies such as Suzuki, Toray, Toyota. They are skilling many manpower in India, which is then it is a ready-made skilled manpower is going to be available. On the compliance burden, I'll cover that separately, though there are numerous compliances have been reduced to zero. About 25,000 plus compliances have been reduced to zero. Let me tell you which ma'am, Dr. Buller has not covered, is that on the ease of ease of doing business in India, there's a Jan Viswas bill, which has already been passed. The Jan Viswas 1. We are working on Jan Viswas 2. What is the Jan Viswas? It is basically to help the businesses to only pay the penalty where there are only technical non-compliances. Basically, what earlier it was a criminal sanction of even a technical in nature. The government recognized that, and they're working hard. We are working with the government to reduce those technical non-compliances to only penalty mode, and then we are decriminalizing most of the offenses. This is a great initiative on ease of doing business in India. And then now, if I can move to straight away going to the opportunities, can you move to the next slide, please? Next, 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 please. Again, I think we have covered most of these sectors, but just to give you a flavor, which is most important, is in the automotive, we are about $110 billion market already, and counting to be third largest in the global ecosystem. And the automobile contributes about 49% of the India's manufacturing GDP and 7.1% of the India GDP. Electric vehicle market is expected to expand at a compounded annual growth of 49% between 2021 and 2030. There are schemes already talked about, the FAME and the PLI, which is helping several companies in India who are in this sector. Moving to the next slide, please. The fintech sector, again, given that India is an IT hub and there are several IT professionals, we are the third largest fintech ecosystem globally. Indian fintech sector had market size of 50 billion in 2021, and market size of this sector is projected to be $150 billion by 2025. The world-class fintech hub at IFSC, Gift City in Gandhinagar, has already been launched. Can I move to the next slide? The renewable energy sector, and I'm talking about sector where Japan has a lot of interest in India. India ranked fourth in the world in the ecosystem in the renewable energy installed capacity, including large hydro, wind power capacity, and solar power capacity. India's installed non-fossil fuel capacity has expanded to 396% in the last 8.5 years, accounting for approx 43% of the total capacity. India has set a goal reducing the nation's carbon intensity by less than 45% by the end of the decade, achieving 50% of cumulative electric power installed from renewable by 2030. Next slide, please. Electronics. India electronics market is currently valued at $140 billion, with indigenous production accounting to 64%. India is recognized as a global hub for IT services and has emerged as the world's third largest startup ecosystem, having 100 plus unicorns. India is committed to reach $300 billion worth of electronics manufacturing and exports by 2025-26. Again, initiatives such as Digital India, Smart City projects, PLI scheme for large-scale electronics manufacturing and IT hardware, scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors, and modified electronics manufacturing cluster scheme. In June 2023, the Government of India revised PLI scheme for semiconductor requiring cabinet approval. Moving on to the next. Again, an interesting area for the Japanese company, infrastructure. India aims to become third largest construction market, and I'm talking about construction, development, and also the whole of the infrastructure. construction market globally by 2025. This sector is set to reach 1.4 trillion, thereby becoming the third largest construction market globally by 2025. By 2030, more than 40% of the population is expected to live in the urban India, creating a demand of 25 million plus mid and affordable units. Construction development sector has 4.1% share in the total FDI inflows from 2000 to 2023, amounting to $29.6 billion inflow. Moving on to the next slide. Healthcare has become one of the India's largest sector, both in terms of revenue and employment. India has received $8.73 billion FDI inflow in hospitals, diagnostic centers during April 2000 to March 2023. India has witnessed 45.06 increase in total investment in healthcare startups. Current market size of the Indian medtech industry is estimated to be $100 billion with a CAGR of 15% over the last 3 years, with the potential to reach $50 billion by 2030. Can I move to the next slide? Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Again, this is all has been covered, so next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Again, this one I was talking about regulatory. There's a regulatory compliance portal, and which was launched by DPIT Ministry. Again, they have been working hard. The objective of this portal is to act as an online repository of all central and state level compliances, and more than 25,000 compliances have been reduced by the central ministry and also the state department. DPIT has identified 194 compliances for reduction, out of which 134 compliances have already been reduced and 30 are under review. So a lot of work is happening. And just to conclude, I only want to say that this is the right time, I think everybody is saying, but the relation between India and Japan is of a tomodachi, is of a trust, as a great and a deeper friendship, and this is the right time. I think it is a need for India to have a Japanese friendship to go a long way, and also same time for Japan to grow, it is India has to be their partner. Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. To end the program, I would like to request Mr. Rohit Relan, Co-Chair IJBCC and Chairman Bharat Sheet Limited, to make a vote of thanks. 閉会にあたりまして、委日経済委員会共同委員長ロヒット・レラン様より感謝の辞を申し上げます。
Good evening, everybody. It's one of the most boring tasks to give a thank you. My things would be all repeated again and again, which you have heard. But why I agreed on speaking on thank you. My first visit to Japan was in 1983. And 84, 85, I was with Suzuki Motor Car Company, and I signed the first joint venture with Maruti Suzuki, and they are still a very good partner with me. And it has always been a two-way relationship. They have taught me to the extent that my second generation who are coming up have learned a lot, and they also want to continue on with Suzuki Motor Car Company. So what I'm talking, first I will give you a general thing, then again, most of the people have covered, but small question answers on networking I would like to do, because this relationship has grown both. I have seen in India at a time where it was challenged to open an industry. Now it's an open market. Look at Suzuki, where we were struggling to do 100 cars and selling 100 cars. Now, if we say 4 million cars are being sold, and there is a wait listing for it. Wait listing which is going on, and they are trying to put in or are on the way to produce the fourth, fifth, and the sixth plant. Just imagine the disposable income Indian people have. So I would like to now go in what I had generally prepared without hearing to all the people, but I would like to add some comment. So forgive me if I'm a bit long, and wherever you can stop, I will stop. So, gentlemen, with that beginning, I would say Namaste, Konnichiwa. I'm delighted to be part of Indian-Japan SME Connect being organized in partnership with JETRO and Indian Embassy in Japan on the occasion of visit of FICCI Trade, Technology and Investment Mission in India. This is not my first time. This is several times I have given a presentation in India and in Japan, and almost I visit 3 to 4 times a year, partly for increasing the relationship and partly for increasing more and more partnership in Japan, from Japan to India. Ladies and gentlemen, India, as everybody has explained, is one of the fastest growing economies in the world and a lucrative investment destination with market potential, rich human resource, reliable supply chain. Japan is the fifth largest investor in India and we have received investments from Japan in crucial sectors such as automobile, pharmaceutical, construction development services. Like you saw, the massive change where the Indian Embassy started off by showing a presentation of Chandrayaan, first landing. And the most successful thing which has occurred now is successful G20, where it gave us all the initiative, India, and what a collective success it was by adding South Africa and making an inclusive vision, which includes women equality, skilling, and reskilling. Japanese companies have also been looking to invest in emerging sectors in India, such as renewable energy. We were a fossil-based electric generation country. Nuclear was started, but now 30% of our power comes from renewable energy, and we tend to want to make it to almost 50%. Digital technology in healthcare, where my friends have already explained how much growth is there. There is an immense scope for Japan to expand its investment portfolio in India, small and medium sector enterprises. The sectoral opportunities for Japanese investment in India are marked by crucial policy reforms by Government of India for technology driven. Like Kanwar Saab mentioned a very particular thing, that SMEs, which are the shadows, are now wanting to come up because technology from SMEs in Japan to India are like a shadow. We are already, the income is there, disposable things are there, but our people want every day more and more. Information technology is so much. So to give that incentivization, PLI schemes covering key sectors such as electronic, food processing, pharmaceutical, telecom, automobiles, electric vehicles have started a lot of thrust, and hybrid also, which is getting a lot of trust and investments in there. National Single Window (NSWS) Digital Single Window Portal for filing business approvals. This is all towards ease of doing business under different departments and ministries of central and state government, which our Dr. Buller has also mentioned, and PM Gati Shakti, a digital platform for multimodal integrated infrastructure connectivity. To go on further, if I put in some of the remarks, which I'm going to repeat, few of them which I would like to highlight. Like Kanwarji mentioned, 1436 Japanese company, and the details were mentioned there at various sectors. Most of them have been automobile related, but still repeating, 80, 90s was a struggling period. Now everything is waitlisted. Younger population wants high mobility in every sector. Younger population wants more comfort. So you feel the air conditioning demand is more. Younger people want more comfort. Hence, sensors, which were not imported during a particular period, it has now grown into an enormous demand. Every comfort requires additional sensors. So a very good opportunity for Japan, and India is giving lot of emphasis on development of semiconductors, which I am seeing. His Excellency C.B. George has rightly said, India has changed. During my lifetime, I used to see challenges 80, 90s, 2000, 2010. The challenges were of different kind. Now the challenges have come, how to meet the demand, how to see more matured technologies are available in India. The demand is rising. And with the help of the special agreement, which is on with His Excellency Abe and Modi ji had done, and then Suga-san, Ishida-san, all had done, a roadmap for India is prepared, and it is continuously fast changing. But I would like to mention one thing. Please take decisions fast. India is moving, and lot of competition is coming, and strong competition is coming on daily basis. So be part of Modi ji's vision, Viksit Bharat 2047. Here, ease of doing business is one of the major concerns which Mrs. Buller and everybody has pointed out, that labor laws have reformed. There were 25 labor laws, now there are 4 labor laws, and ease of doing business, labor reforms are going on. GST was one of the biggest changes, corporate law, taxation. The part was we used to struggle with our taxation. No struggling, we get a refund. Before we could say we have filed and we are getting a refund. We don't have to follow. Now the resolutions, challenges are an ongoing thing which we have to do, complete. But there is a government who is hearing us now. Resolutions are there available. So be part of the economy which is going from 5th to 4th largest. Do not wait. ROI is improving. Our own sector, we are reinvesting with least borrowing. The returns which we are getting, both Suzuki is giving and the government is giving, our returns are getting higher and higher. You would have also seen that like Daikin has put in investment. Many investments are coming in and required, but still the competition is rising. Here, skilling, and you would see a recent example which has come up in India. Skill India, Suzuki has set in an R&D plant, 600 Indian people with 45 Japanese who are ongoing training, and and they want to expand as much as possible. So many companies are coming in. But I must give you the important points. Mr. Ajay Sethi had mentioned 5 important points. Those are very, very important points. But the most important point which I would like to highlight here is, do not miss the opportunity available now. India is going from the 5th largest economy to the 4th largest economy. Government is conscious of ease of doing business, environment-friendly steps. Every listed company in India now requires a return to be filed in their annual report on environment-friendly basis, and they are monitored about. So, and the most important is, please do select a trusted Indian partner to make you grow faster, manufacture in India, and export from India. Thank you very much, and I hope any questions you have, and I look forward for the deliberation on the 47th BJCC meeting. But I must thank the Japanese government officials who are here, JETRO, who has taken a very big role and helped us in many things, and the Indian government officials who have sent in Mrs. Bhuller. It is just a showcase that how much they are concerned about this, about in your friendship with India. Embassy officials of India and Japan, I have found the Japanese officials of the embassy in India are also very, very helpful. FICCI officials and various people who have taken the time. Thank you very much, and namaste.
Thank you, sir. We will now conclude the event on India-Japan SME Connect today. 以上をもちまして、本日のイベント、日印中小企業コネクトを終了とさせていただきます。We will have a networking session with light refreshment at the lounge at the left side after exiting this venue. We hope you will join us. You may exchange cards and interact each other during this networking session.